And once again, I'd like to welcome everyone to the Buffalo History Channel. And of course, as I always do, I'd like to thank you for your continued support of this platform. We strive to bring you some of the most unique stories in Buffalo's history. I mean, earlier this year, we kicked it off right with the original production of as we look back at, we took an unprecedented look at the early history of Buffalo's Black media with the Soul of Buffalo TV. Then we followed that up with, sat down, continued our media history, Black media history in Buffalo, where I talked to the family, the sons and daughters of the late, great Don Mullins, who was at one time the general manager of radio station 1080 AM WUFO, which stands today as Power 96.5 FM. And now I am very happy to have two young ladies on my show who I have known since I met them back in the late 1990s, 1999 to be exact. I met them at the Langston Hughes Institute. And yes, the Langston Hughes Institute. And I have to say that the 90s and early 2000s was somewhat of a renaissance period. It was like a creative movement that was going on. And one of the signature events that started around that time and that continues on today is a spoken word event titled Wordism. And as I mentioned Wordism, there's one young lady that is missing, but she is with us in spiritual essence. She was the founding spirit of that event titled Wordism. And I'm talking about the late and lamented and wonderful Kendra Durand. And here to talk about Wordism and Kendra's legacy are Dayatra Amber and you take solar moments with her every morning, Solar Ingram. Dayatra and Solar, welcome to the Buffalo.
Thanks. Thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely.
This is an honor because to be honest with you, I'm the talker and the viber is about to set it all off over there. But to be honest with you, it's probably the best season to have this conversation with you. And we both, I know I'm speaking on both of our behalf. Thank you for your patience.
Absolutely.
With allowing us to come on your platform. So thank you so much.
Yes, I mean, it was only apropos because, I mean, the last time I had you on the Buffalo History Channel, Solar, we talked about the Underground Directory. You remember that show, right?
Yes. I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is somewhat of a continuation of that conversation. So
I'll always mix or something.
You always involved.
Yeah. So, ladies, let's start off by talking about Kendra Durand. Could the two of you share your memories of, and let our audience know who Kendra Durand was?
I would like to start that one off, if I may. I want to just say how I met Kendra.
Okay.
And I went to an event. It was a comedy event at the Calumet. Remember that spot? And it was a comedy event. It was popping. It was nice. And during the intermission, they introduced a poet. And so what was interesting for me was that I just came back from the military. I just got out to the military and I started going to UB. And when they said it was a poet finna come out, my first thought was, who's gonna do poetry in the middle of a comedy show? Like, you gotta have some big balls to do a poem. What kind of poem you got that you willing to stand up here in the middle of a comedy show? And I saw this little lady come out. She had on camouflage field jacket. She had the big red hair all over the place, her little cute self, big old boots, stepping out. And I'm just like, who is this young queen? And she killed it. And she commanded the room. She had everybody's respect. And I remember thinking, yeah, she's dope. She did that. She did that. And so I was happy to get to know Kendra and be a part of the Wordism, the sage, the whole energy that we sort of created together, she and I and Solar, and our adventures of the 90s that we had. And this is a really appropriate time because her birthday is coming up.
Okay. Right.
Birthday is coming up. And I believe that was the same day that she transcended, was on her birthday as well. So that would be January 31st. It's her born day. Aquarius. Yeah.
Solar.
For me, that journey with Kendra, it started in 9th grade.
Wow.
Right.
We were actually Da Vinciites. We graduated from high school together, and I met her, and I'll never forget, at orientation. And she was somebody who just was always about her business. I mean, a freshman with her book in her arm and that raspy voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just always Kendra. And when we graduated, she and I gained this relationship.
Okay. Solar, okay, there you go. Yeah, you went into mute mode, Solar.
Huh?
Yeah, could you start over again? You went into mute mode right quick.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying that when I was, after we graduated, that's where I kind of joined in with her, so to speak. We gained this relationship because poetry brought us together. It wasn't necessarily that we spent 4 years in classes together or on a debate team together or going to different field trips in band. She did play a couple of instruments as well. But it was the fact that when we graduated, it was the poetry and the blend of how she put wordism together. And I don't know, we just started, everything just like blur. It's just a blur. But it's a good blur. But it was a blur.
Kendra Durand at Wordism, and I'd like you to let the viewers know how you got started.
Okay, well, I got started in the winter of 1997. I had this idea to create this venue for writers such as myself, because I know how it is to have that mic in your hand, to be on stage, and I just wanted to give that to the community. The way I started was I made my flyers up. I posted them around the East Side community. I posted them on campus at mainly UB State, and I just waited to see how many people showed up. And to my surprise, people from all over showed up, and it was amazing.
Absolutely.
Because we just was taking over the town. We had a mission. It was either poetry or hip hop. It was rebel rousing in a good way and making words count. And she was about telling people to heal through poetry, and Dayatra and I were just like, okay. and to this day, I always remember our positions, so to speak. The revolutionary, that jazz tune over there, and then me, I'm like, yeah, what was my lines again? Like, we just play the beat, DJ.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I got to meet Kendra.
Okay, so now I remember meeting you. I remember when I saw, and I still have the video, and I have yet to put it up, about the old community forum, hip hop culture versus the civil rights movement. And when I look in the video, actually I had forgot that all three of you were at that event.
Oh yeah.
You were hosting, and Dayatra and Kendra there's footage of them just off to the side
I
of
need
the
to see
panel.
that.
Yeah, you both were actually there. And I think from there is when I found out about Wordism, but I'm not sure if it had an earlier starting point. So could you talk about how Wordism came about?
Wordism started in Kendra's living room, to be honest with you, when she stayed on Main Street. And next thing you know, we started to go to the coffee houses. So she actually lived in, I don't know if you're from Buffalo, it's this one house in the University District, and it has a bridge that goes across to the other house. So it's really funny because Kendra stayed in that house, and when we would have poetry events at there, it would like take that bridge to sometimes fill it up. But Wordism didn't start in a location outside of a house. It really started of us sitting on floors on pillows, and it moved to other folks' houses for a while. And
True. I have to say though, I was at UB with Kendra, and I don't remember if you guys, I don't even remember, it is kind of blurry, but I do remember the first time I went to Wordism. And it was at Oh Boys on Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first one. And my sister, who was also a student at UB, she was a senior, I was a freshman at that point. And then she had invited me. She's a English professor now, but she's the poet, right? And she brought me there, and I was just hooked. And I don't even know if we even had we didn't have a meeting or anything like that. We was just hanging out.
It was spontaneous, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We was just hanging out, and it was like work needed to be done. And then it was just like, hey, let's do this. Let's do a show. Let's do our own thing. Let's do, we ended up doing Sage and creating a group amongst the three of us. We were working it out. We had beats. We had we had a lot going on at one point, and it was just a beautiful time. A lot of growth and just really diving in. I had no idea that Buffalo had this creative community, so I was really just being immersed. I mean, I knew Langston Hughes since I was a kid. Everybody, I knew Langston Hughes just as part of the community for years, but I didn't know about the hip hop and poetry popping off. That just had I was just like, yo, I'm down for whatever.
I remember how when it wasn't just Wordism that kind of sparked Wordism, if that makes sense. And when you think about the Langston Hughes, you had elders who believed in our voices. So when you came to, us having a panel, the closing the intergenerational gap, it was one side of young people and the other side was our elders, and we were able to talk. And the reason, y'all know I'm the reason Dayatra and Kendra were there was to promote Wordism and to spark conversation. So each one of them, if you look at the tape, are on a certain side.
Right.
Of
Wow.
They actually trying to remember.
I don't remember it.
I was there.
I know I've been at the Langston Hughes a million times over the years, so I believe you, but I can't wait to see it.
Mm-hmm. I got to get that on.
Jog my memory a little bit.
It is. It was strategic we were there with questions. We had probably stayed up all night, Dayatra, putting this together, probably fixing the little drawings that name tags, and Miss Dorothy Hill was like, just have your way, Fulani and Baba Simba. And yes, Dayatra, we were on a mission, and you were back then, and I can talk about you because that's what we do, right? Especially when you take a solo album, you talk about you like you're here. Yo, Dayatra used to be the militant one, where if we're going to strategically plan, we got to get up and work out. If we're going to do this, salad. If we're going to do like
Dayatra was the militant, not you solo.
No.
Okay. Now that's news to me.
I wasn't militant. I was a straight rebel. I was ready to fight. She was more, but I was always ready to fight. I think
Solar, you always had that energy. And I gotta talk about how I met this lady, right?
That is.
So I met this young lady at Nietzsche's. And she was passing out flyers, and she came up like, peace, sis. Da 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 da. You know, you heard about the building of hip hop? Where is hip hop? Something.
Building of hip hop.
Girl, I was like, okay, all right, sis. Like, I fell in love, like right there. Like, oh, I love this woman, and just her energy was just like, just wrapped me up. And yeah, it was just like, whoa. But Solar always had that strong, she's the one that said everything to everybody. Now, I'm not shy, but when I'm with her, you would think I was shy because she already got it. But my role was like, okay, we're going to be organized. We're going to be tight. We're going to rehearse. We're going to eat right. We're going to exercise. So we're going to do all those Virgo things.
Well, I mean, you know how Virgos do. From one Virgo you know how we do.
Well, I'm a Virgo moon. I'm a Virgo moon. So that's my, that's my love language, Virgo.
I'm a Pisces. I don't even know what that means, but I'm saying
Pisces
it like
sun. Well, you were creative and you deep water, you know what I mean? I'm actually a Taurus sun, but we could get into the astrology, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
The roles that we play is really interesting because even when you talk about Kendra, she was in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn in the Vedic chart. So, just having that energy, that organizing energy, that cardinal, like making it happen type energy, about your business type energy, like that's her, humanitarian energy, you know what I mean? And really being about the people. She was just about the people, and y'all were really inspiring. And I'll admit, I'm just a couple of few years older than y'all. Just a couple of few.
Just a couple of few years. I just
a couple of few. And you know how when you're younger, it seemed like a bigger gap. But I remember just hanging out with y'all. Y'all come over to my house. We would go to each other's house.
Yeah.
But I just loved y'all so much. I was just like, I'm back in college. Like, now all my friends is like younger than me. I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. But I appreciated that experience because we just got it popping, and it didn't feel like no type of work. We was just really hanging out and just having fun. Like, this is how we enjoyed ourselves.
But we made moves and we made revolution. I don't know how far Doug gonna let me talk, but and Dayatra, this is funny. I don't know if you're gonna remember this, but 100 Mighty Men decided to have a rally down in front of City Hall. And they were doing Rock the Vote. I think right. I think you so we all decided we was gonna dress in our army fatigues.
Is this what I think it is?
And what had happened was we were Baba Simba, Lord rest his soul. He told us you got one there to pay phone. If somebody go to jail, you gotta know who to call. You gotta have one with the car. You gotta have somebody here. You gotta have somebody there. So in our head, we was Black Panthers. And I'm gonna go up to the stage and I'm gonna speak. I'm gonna talk about how we gonna wrap up this vote and all. And y'all, yeah, we gonna. And it didn't go that way. It didn't go that way. What had happened was they did finally let us up on the stage, so we got the message out. But then something had happened and anarchy, and all I remember is I was throwing fires. Dayatra was like, "What happened?"
I remember what you did. It was in somebody's movie. Y'all ain't doing nothing in this community. That was on a film.
It was, yeah, I made it to a movie with that one. I did apologize to the cleaning lady over at City Hall finally. I truly did. I crashed City Hall that day. I was like, yo, y'all lying to people.
Man, I'm sitting in the market arcade looking at this. And who do I see on the big screen? You.
That's so crazy.
You
It's
remember
so
that?
crazy. So much. I'm gonna tell you the truth. No. It's so much of a blur of stuff because we were doing so much. Solar would walk up and be like, y'all want to perform at Juneteenth? Oh, do you want to perform at such? Oh, we can get some money. We gonna get paid. We can do this. We can do that. And I was just like, okay. I mean, we was just showing up, even with Wordism, like a lot of people, and we have to give credit where it's due because a lot of people, and I wish Jumani was here. That's what we should have had Jumani here.
Yeah. He's definitely keeping it alive.
Yeah, like even just giving up that homage, like it was, the three of us, and it was, but I mean, it was just easy to do because we were hanging out, and it was just like, we need to make these flyers. Like, okay, let's make these flyers. We need to pass them out.
Did you write a poem for the night? Hold on.
Right. I mean, we was just making it happen and just supporting what was already there. And there was so many influential voices.
Yeah, talk about who some of the voices were.
Oh my God. Vanetta T. Rhodes.
Of course.
Queen Halima.
Oh, Sunchild.
Right off the jump. I never forget when I first seen her. Sunchild, yes.
I love Sunchild because Sunchild had this like off,
and he was always funny.
It was like cool poetry, but it's the sun and the moon, and then his brother.
And he had the reggae. He had the reggae vibes. Yes. Love
Intari both. We gotta give it up to Intari.
Of course.
Oh, Intari inherited. He inherited the whole situation. What was his program called? Remember after Kendra left?
In Josie
Poetry.
In Josie Poets, but was that what he called the open voices? Mic that he was doing at Poetic Voices?
Okay.
That he was doing at Cat Spot.
Empty Cup.
Yeah, he kept it going. He kept it going at the Empty Cup. He couldn't call it Wordism because Kendra didn't want him to call it Wordism, but he pretty much picked up from where she left off at when she left town.
Yeah.
And he kept the poetry alive. For sure.
He did. I gotta give it to him. Even when you think, for me, I think of the hip hop side of it too. And like you got people like Taj Mahal and Ali, all your upstate cats used to rock with us.
All the
so
upstate.
You knew how we was coming. It was like, and that's where the building of hip hop came from. It was like, we're poets, they MCs, we dropping lyrics, they dropping bars, and we put
exactly. Jazz. And you know what? There's a real blur there because after
I mean, it's legal for me to say it now. It was a real blur back then for me because
it was a real blur. It was real blurry. It was real blurry. But
lest we forget, the underground directory kept everybody abreast of what was going on during that time.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the
Oh
underground.
yeah.
And I think if we would have really like been wiser as young people, we would have realized we were on to something, because we were online, we were in print, we were on radio, and then back then we did foot soldier like no tomorrow. Like underground directory was mailed to people's
We did.
house. We did direct mailers.
We
Sitting
did.
there all night talking about some pass phone
We
move,
did.
pass phone move, staple, pass phone. Like we really did a lot of grassroots stuff. We were on TV. Doug
Grassroots, boots on the ground.
Doug was my
We
first
wasn't
TV
playing.
camera
We
guy.
were making it happen.
I was
He
your
was
what?
Oh yeah.
he was my first producer. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
will never forget that. He was my first producer. He was like Solar. And I still have to remember someday, because I move. I'm Oprah. I talk with my hands. He like, just say it and look into the camera. Don't worry, I got the rest. I'll be like, okay. And
Oh, remember we had Low Pro.
Yeah.
He was our DJ for a good while.
DJ Low Pro.
DJ Low
gotta
Pro.
be
Big ups. Yes.
Mill, Doc Martin, because he was giving us the beat.
All of them.
Before Q blew up,
Insomniacs. Remember they was Insomniacs back.
Insomniacs.
You said before Q blew up. You said Q.
Yeah, before Q blew up and
Q
got
was
all
around.
Q was around. He used to rock with
All
us.
big.
In Idris.
Of course.
Idris.
All of them.
He was like the hip hop rhythmist. I can't even think of it was a group back then that they reminded me of that had the
God.
oh god, a cool like that. The guys from like that's how it
Diggable Planets.
Oh yeah, Diggable Planets. Diggable
that's what
Planets.
they
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah, Deep Thinker Records.
Yeah.
Deep Thinker Records. Right.
Alleyway
Right. Oh my
Records.
God.
Downtown Records. These is all cats who's promoted us. Gotta give a shout out to Christel Prince. He stayed on somebody's flyer.
Lifestyle Street Gear, of course. Absolutely.
Christel Prince. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God.
Lots of influences.
We have some. That was back in the day when you would turn on BLK, and we still got a Karima Amin story about Burr Rabbit.
Brer Rabbit.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Don't
That
get me
was
started
back
on Brer
when
Rabbit.
DT had that show. Remember
Oh, yeah.
DT? And he got picked up on Channel 7. What was the name of that show?
We were
was like a video.
Nasty, and DT was DT off the Heezy for Sheezy, my Neezy, downtown something he was. We created such a community. We were the originators of the East Coast, West Coast, and we was like on one side of town, on the east side. And
It was a lot going on.
Radio B, we would have that Radio B.
Mm-hmm.
The Dive Nasty Show. Rapping Retime.
Wow. That dude.
Damn, she taking it back.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember the rap. The only thing I remember with the rapping retard is where he did something questionable. When they had Buffalo had all these little different buffaloes around the city. And he just did some questionable activity with one of them. That accidentally aired on public access.
Yo.
And I was doing playback.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you might want to play that one, because I tell that story most of the time. Like, I got a video of somebody who will show you what to do with a buffalo.
Yeah, I remember that.
And don't let
Doug it really those
Doug be behind the camera, and he cool, and then all of a sudden somebody would do something, he'd be like he would stop, like, and he would look like, what is going on here? What is going on?
Yeah, I will come from behind the camera. What are you doing?
But a lot of historical things did take place, and being connected to the Langston Hughes, in those days we still had access to Africa on Main Street, and it was really a beautiful time. I remember, part of it is being young and not being fully aware of everything,
right?
But to me, it really brought life, because I didn't want to be in Buffalo. I had left Buffalo, I was in the military, and I did not want to come back. And I came back sort of kicking and screaming, but I felt like with Wordism and the whole arts community that I found my tribe. And that was everything to me. I would not have been able to even survive in this city, because this is a rough place. They don't call it Rough Buff for nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Why? Mecca? I'm sorry, I just had a moment. I'm like, why is Mecca, little wise Mecca with her?
Why is
power.
Mecca? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sorry.
Remember Erica Williamson? Remember we used to do the poetry thing with Michael X?
Wise
He had
Mecca
a
as
whole
well
little group. Yeah, Mike Hawthorne.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned Wise Mecca. Don't forget about his sister Tiffany.
Yes.
Okay, yes, sis.
Oh wait, when she used to dance at the African
Right.
Oh my goodness, y'all! It's Buffalo is so blessed to have. So I remember her first time in the studio, and like this young lady, she was a part of the battle of the 64 MCs. She held around like never before, and now to see her as this superstar artist.
Oh my God!
She was in the battle of the 64.
That's what I'm saying. The seeds that was planted in those days. I hear people say, because you know, once Kendra left, we all kind of did our own thing. And I was doing the all word, no play with my partner at the time. And we had those same artists coming through. Devotion, remember Devotion? Shorty Rock? Killing it every week. You was coming in there and putting it down on the well, not every week. We were doing it every month at the Elmwood Lounge back then.
Yep.
What? Elmwood Lounge. And people now that be talking about, you know, I met such and such there. And it's really a beautiful thing when you can facilitate a space and an energy to bring people together in love and support. We were talking the other night about, you know, you didn't get booed. We wasn't about that life. We was about like, yo, take your time. It's gonna be all right. Like, let it out. You know, sharing our stories through poetry, whether you was rapping or poetry. I think that was a vibe where you couldn't really tease apart rap and poetry, because it's one and the same, really.
Well,
you know?
It really is. It really is. And the culture of hip hop, right? I teach a course now called Hip Hop 101, which came from back then. If y'all remember, we brought a poet named Jessica somebody, Doug. It was Jessica Simmons or something. We brought her to the Langston Hughes, and it was part of the Hip Hop 101 culture. And we taught the culture. We taught how to dress. We taught how to speak. We taught how to rap. We taught how to make your own business without even knowing we was doing these things. Then it was such a curriculum. And I really look at my life now and I'm like, wow, it's amazing. I'm doing what I always wanted to do. And that was just the seed work of it. Like you just said, that was seed work. And now a lot of the cats, and I can say this, a lot of the cats that we rocked with are very successful. They're doing what they have to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
Big shout out to Milkar. Every time I go to a Bills, I'm like, why is his face all over the place? Like, bro,
right, DJ Milk. That's right.
Yep.
They was you know, and we say all these things about Buffalo because this is what makes, especially all three of us, our families are prominent families in the city of Buffalo. You know, we were raised to be of this standard. We inherited such a standard. And when we were younger, we didn't even realize, like, we may not have been mimicking Bill to the fullest, but we were like our own generation of Bill.
Without really being aware of it.
Yep.
Just living life, right.
It's interesting that you say that, you mention it like that, because I'm reminded last year after I did the piece on the Black Dance Workshop, I did a follow-up show when I had Gail Wells on. And then if you haven't seen that video, Go on the History Channel and check it out, because
Definitely.
Gail talks about everything that y'all are talking about that was going on in the 90s and the 2000s. Gail was talking about what was going on in the 70s and the 80s, and all the arts and all the artists and stuff and performers
And we need all those
that was
parts.
coming up at that time. And she talked about a group called the Neo Writers Workshop, which Al Nisa was a part of.
I believe it.
She talks about
challenges.
Emil and Gail Lyons, and she
Right, and
looked at
those
whole history.
were our people, our aunties,
Yes.
Right.
uncles. You know what I mean? And we didn't know I didn't know what they was doing. They were around. I didn't know everything. You know, I grew up seeing Papa Emil playing the drums. My cousins and them went to Bill. I didn't know really a lot about it. I just was around. I grew up going to the African Culture Center, you know, and these are institutions, these are parts of our culture that we want to preserve and make sure that the next generations have that.
I want to say big shout out to Gail Wells, because everything that you're saying, and the reason is that is one sister, still beautiful. But when I say she used to rock Buff State and gave young people a chance, her department, the cultural department that she worked in, was the one who brought hip hop artists here. She gave us poetry nights. She would sponsor events. She sponsored a couple of the 64 MCs for a fact. And she was like, yo, the only reason we're not gonna have it here, but I'm gonna make sure you're taking care of there. Black Student Union. Gail Wells rocked when she was over on like, big shout out to her, because a lot of Buff State graduates at that time reaped the benefits of having her on campus. And I think that's the other part. We started to position ourselves where we have people in place like that.
We need to know who was doing what, because sometimes we just inherit, right? Like Langston Hughes. I was a kid. I didn't think there was ever a time that it wasn't a Langston Hughes. You know what I mean? I didn't think it was a time where it wasn't a Juneteenth. I remember traveling and talking to people who looked at me sideways like, what's Juneteenth? I'm like, y'all ain't got Juneteenth?
Nope.
What you mean y'all don't got no Juneteenth around here? So these are things that our elders put in place for us, many of them our ancestors now. And we really want to honor that. We really want to lift that up.
Well,
make sure that our youth have something.
True indeed. True indeed.
Let me just say that I am so proud to see what has been going on with Juneteenth throughout the years up to this point. I can remember when I first got involved with Juneteenth back in 1998. In 1999, and I remember what a struggle it was to get the community and people of our generation to even buy into Juneteenth. That was a long, hard road. But as years went on, more and more people our age and our generation got more involved, and people.
Can you believe it? It's a national holiday now.
It's a national holiday now.
I still be picturing myself like,
yep.
Really?
It's a national holiday.
And everybody talks about Juneteenth.
I want to big up both of y'all for the work that y'all put in for Juneteenth. I mean, it's so many people who really sweated and bleeded for Juneteenth to make sure that it happened. And I know personally, I have hollered and screamed at people
about
Juneteenth.
I bet you did. I did. I know Solar did.
Right?
Trying to get
and people don't know. And I remember when it was really a struggle, especially because it was our city was going through a real violent time.
Kick the bush aside and fix our pot. Kick the bush aside and fix the pot. Kick the bush aside.
Listen.
Oh, the kick the BS.
I mean, even myself, I wasn't going to Juneteenth because it was like they ain't doing nothing but wilding.
Yeah.
And so to pick that up and take that on and try to get people involved again. And you know, it's been quite a work, but it has really you can't predict. I couldn't predict for so long, you know, Juneteenth should be a national holiday, and now it is. It's sort of like
I've always believed that it should have been a national holiday along with my birthday. I've always
Of course, your birthday too.
Wait, even though my birthday is nowhere near June, I'm just saying, I always did believe that Juneteenth should be more recognized. And I think that's what made, I lost a lot of sleep, a lot of money, a lot of probably good people. I got taught the word ally. I fought, I argued. I remember crying in the middle of the park several years. Like out of the 15 years, how many we was with them before I was like, I have to breathe. And it's funny that we're having this conversation because I'm like, oh, let me go to Mandela's, not the one I always go on Broadway, right? Mm-hmm. Today I was like, I'm gonna go to Mandela's on Jefferson and Ferry. Don't know why I let myself be led there. Just to run into one of the community brothers who looked at me and was like, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z with, you know, Juneteenth. I need to get in touch with you. And I'm looking at him like, why you need nobody I didn't know how to I was like, you know what, here go my card. You just, what do you want? And he told me what he wanted to do. And I'll be honest with myself, it made me feel like I'm dead wrong. I know I can't stay broken up from them too much longer, but I gotta be careful. Because people,
you know what, even if you're not even working in an official capacity, I mean, Juneteenth is all of ours.
365 too.
You know, we don't, and that's what the beauty of it. You know, whatever capacity, I mean, it's open to the community. Like, what y'all want to do? You know, and I think that's what really makes it beautiful to experience and to be a part of. Sometimes I ask myself, why am I going so hard? You know, but it's for those reasons we just spoke about. You know, we want our youth to have shoulders to stand on. We want our youth to have what we had and more. Mm-hmm. You know, and make sure that they have a voice, make sure they have representation. I remember we performed at Juneteenth. It was in 99. So Laura, when we did that performance, me, you,
1999.
Yeah. And that was my first time performing at Juneteenth. I probably hadn't even been to Juneteenth since the 80s.
You know what I thought about that performance? Where we were performing in Juneteenth. It was the fight to get this. That was the year to fight. We're putting a stage in the swimming pool. Like
it sure was. It sure was.
I gotta see if I have any of that on tape.
And on that stage.
And we're gonna put the historical cars are gonna go around it. I used to be the dreamer. I would wake up like, yo, we're gonna put the cars around the swimming pool so that when people walk around and we're gonna have a stage right there. Now that's open, and then y'all can keep y'all stage over there, and then the basketball court is gonna be with the young people, and that's what we're gonna do. And we got the stage that year, and then after, you know, that was drill around, then gradually we were able to fight well enough to get the youth pavilion, and that was a fight. I was so proud of seeing real fences up. Doug, do you remember the one year? I don't know, Dayatra, I know you're gonna talk about me because I know you probably was like, sis, what is going on with you? The one year I took the orange tape from the city workers and I walked around and I put the fences up myself, and Mr. I was like, you can't go around taking people's fencing. But I asked first.
Yes. You know, that's the only thing you could do.
I did. I had that orange, that it was so raggedy looking, but I was like, our kids are gonna be roped off.
People need to know. People need to know how hard people is going for Juneteenth.
Yeah. And
they need to know.
And to get youth involved in Juneteenth too.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That was a hard. That was a bigger
always
struggle.
the big challenge. Yeah,
Yep.
that's always
We
the
never
big
felt
struggle.
we never felt involved, and I think when we were finally able to get to the table, because we weren't easily invited, and I can get it, like that's the old boys club, like they've been there a long time and they really took care of something. So to invite a generation in that they don't understand, I think that was the hardest part. And then out of all the generation that they get, they got us, and it was like this, we are ready, and we were like, and they entrusted us. And I'll never forget our first year. We had like a, Doug, you played that clip.
Okay.
And I think that was our first year when we did the Oreo contest with Catherine Roberts with BLK. That was literally like, we brought the hip hop contest there, the Battle of the 64 downscale there, and we had one group from Canada that got stuck on the bridge because we ain't had a working papers or something crazy like that. So we had to all go all the way to the bridge to get the people off the bridge, bring them over, and all the time we smiling. And I'll never forget the clip of that it literally made me like feel, I don't know, like a surge, but it was like I was rapping or something, and Doc Martin took my shoulder and did like this, and I turned around, and I don't know what I was saying, but I turned back around and was like that, and the crowd was like, yeah. And it wasn't because I did it, it was just like the crowd. Like that's what we was able to have, like you say a bar and they'd be like, yeah, and you like, oh, and they didn't even know that we was fighting. Like, we was really just wasting time because the artist was on the bridge. Everybody didn't want to give us a check. I don't think I had a parking pass. Like, it was mad stuff going on.
It'd be crazy like that. I mean, that's welcome to the world of organizing. I mean, you know, and I think the beauty is to be able to work with folks who know how to improvise. Like, we just know how to, it's like second nature at this point.
Right.
Things not gonna always go like you planned. So you always got to be ready to improvise.
Yes.
What was that year when we had the Poetry Village? That was my favorite thing, when we had the Poetry Village.
That was the Poetry Village was so awesome.
That was so dope.
But it was so dope that it kind of got, once we did it there, you remember we took the Poetry Village to the what was that, the Jamaican or the Sankofa Fest at Waterfront?
Oh, that was the
Caribbean
the
Buffalo Caravana or something like that.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Caravana, because we ended up doing the poet, and I'll never forget, because that's when Coop started painting and poetry. Like, he went from draw, and we in the Poetry Village, and he was like, I'm gonna get in on this. And
but did we do it again after that? I think that's something we need to bring back.
I don't think. Well, no.
Yeah, why don't you just come on?
Well, y'all got Juneteenth is coming up this year. Go ahead, go for it.
Coming up this year, you know. Coming up.
Solar's like.
Like how her face just said, huh? What? Yeah,
I'll help with the Poetry Village. Like, that's it.
That's
tell me
it.
where to go. I'm not coming to no meetings.
You ain't got to do none of that. I promise.
Give me a location. I'm there all day. I'll promote it.
Well, hopefully we can. Well, hopefully we can have the official Juneteenth this year.
Yeah, hopefully we can.
Yeah.
We done had 2 years in a row virtual.
And everybody else had their events last year.
Well, the beauty last year, I thought it really was kind of dope that people was so hungry for Juneteenth that they just had Juneteenth.
They did their own.
And I think that we are Juneteenth.
Absolutely. That's
so
that's
you know, just getting up and jumping in the streets and celebrating. That's what we supposed to do.
And programming.
So until we get it back in the park, hey, do that. You know, we were supporting a lot of different groups that day. That were celebrating. And but this year we do want to have it in the park. So God willing, that's what we'll do. Long as everything is everything.
Yep.
Look, worst case scenario, we can social distance in the Rose Garden and have our own Poetry Village in honor of Juneteenth, whether everybody else comes to the park or not. So cool. That's what we're gonna do. That's our contribution to Juneteenth. Everybody else branched out last year anyway. I guess we can do our own thing. Anyway, so Doug, guess what's happening in March?
What's happening in March?
Having a birthday party. Yep,
Okay.
that's what I'm. So I can't stand it. I had to say it. Our numbers suck this year because of that over here with Juneteenth, but we're gonna figure it out. March 10th will be the official. Even though it's a birthday celebration, it's a kickoff of time to get back to networking, right?
Mhm.
In Buffalo, New York, and the state of Buffalo, New York, yeah, Buffalo, the city, New York, the state. It's Solar Ingram Day, March 9th, right? And it has been since 2017. And I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. But I lost my brother that year. So it was kind of like, okay. And I'm being honest, nothing resounded. So all these years I did write a book, and all these years I've been like, what am I gonna do with it? So I'm excited because, Doug, you ready for this?
Okay.
I get Dayatra Amber to do poetry for me for my birthday. You see where I'm going with this?
Well, who
Bringing
better?
something back. I didn't know you was gonna do this interview now, and I wasn't trying to let it be known what we were doing, but we got to tell the truth to shame the devil. Seems like I'm getting punked to do some things. Queen Halima is going to be a part of this event. Dynamite Soul, who I got to give a shout out to him. He's been around a long time. He's going to be a part. King Shad, he's going to be a part. Melva Smalls and Nissa Pritchard, and my homeboy, who's the lawyer with the most, Rashid McDuffie, is my MC for the night. We're going to be at Genesee Qua, 1633 Hurdle Avenue. But it's actually a birthday celebration to kick off what we are all looking for, which is an opportunity to network. So whether it's going to be online or you're in person, you're going to not only get the opportunity to see who's doing what in the city of Buffalo every other week. And we're going to do this on Thursday nights. You're going to get to see who's saying what every other week, right?
Okay.
Get some pros and pour. That's what we're calling it, pros and pour mixer. And at the same time, I think the biggest part is building our momentum of what we have here. And guess what? I'm back in the gym, but I'm not alone. Guess who my trainer is, Doug?
Who's your trainer? Dayatra?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I saw that. That's how this interview came about. I saw one morning. I just woke up and saw the two. I get your notifications every morning, and then I see the two of you on the treadmill. Like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to have them two on the Buffalo History Channel.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, I want to add. We were talking about Juneteenth this year. I'm going to put a programming note in for the Buffalo History Channel. We will be showcasing the flashback to the Juneteenth celebrations of last year. That there'll be a special video posted on the Buffalo History Channel in the next few months.
So Doug, how many did you go to?
I went to the Free Them part with Sister Kelly. I went to the Freedom Fest that was that they had on Jefferson inside the Johnny B. Wiley Stadium.
So let me just add this in case folks don't know.
Okay.
We still had a virtual Juneteenth, even though people was out in the streets doing their thing. That was great. But for those who couldn't get out, a lot of that stuff was being streamed, but we also had a quite extensive program. I think it was about a 5-hour program on Saturday and Sunday both. So, and those are still on our website right now and archived on our Facebook page too. Okay. So when you get a chance, check out that event.
Okay. Well, before I wrap everything up, I don't want to keep you too long. We were talking about wordism at the top of the show, and we went into the whole Buffalo arts movement of the 90s and 2000s. Wordism continues today. I know it's that they have it at the Plaza Art House. And I know Jumani was carrying it on for a little while. I remember taking some pictures at some of his events in the years before I departed Buffalo. What do you think about wordism today and how far it's come?
I love it. I love that Jumani is keeping it alive still. You know, we had, when Kendra transitioned, we had a celebration of life for her. And I think that it was very inspiring. And I don't know if we recorded that. I know I've seen lots of pictures, but I don't know.
I don't think we was
There's
in
actual-
live as much back. Not even then. We wasn't doing we was Facebook pictures, not so much. Let's go live.
Not so much, right?
That wasn't a
That
thing.
was 2011.
Yeah.
But I remember everybody came out and it was just really beautiful. And then that's when, you know, Jumani picked it up and was like, I'm
gonna hold this for y'all. I'm gonna hold this for y'all. And I did have a chance to go to the 7th year this a few weeks ago, actually last month. I would say the only thing that has changed, the poets are the same, the crowd is still excited. I was in the atmosphere and he's always paid homage to us. Like, and when I walked in, people knew, like, which one are you? You know, I know this is a joke that I can say, I'm not Kendra, but you know, but that's how detailed he makes the story, that they don't know who's who, because, you know, we did have to take a hiatus to get ourselves together. We did branch out to become moms and, you know, things of that nature. But I think the only thing that changed for me, Doug, is that we don't have a venue because of economics and time that can do what we did. We had a Grassroots just come and buy a soda, and now it is a cover charge, and I understand, yet we started to see it grow to where it has value. I think that's a good thing. And at the same time, that's just a change for me. It was kind of like when you walk in, you didn't stop to pay. You kind of walked in, it was like, who am I vibing with?
Right.
You know, so it's a
fancy, huh?
It's fancy. We wasn't that fancy. We was walking and talking, yo.
Yeah, I remember that, Solar. Yo. Even though Solar says, Doug, I don't do that no more.
That's not true.
I know it's not. She don't like me clowning her like that.
Only. I be chilling though.
I know you do. I know how far you've come. So I understand.
Don't make me get happy over here, because Doug, you ain't gonna say the same thing after my birthday party. I'm just gonna say that. Like, okay. So I will give you a sneak preview. I'm performing. And I'm telling you this because it's a women's movement. And I want to thank this woman down there, because you also want to make sure, because she's not going to say it. I'm shameless plug. She's actually like has an awesome website, Doug. And Dayatra has moved Love London into, you know, Dayatra Amber, but she's also using her skills and her degree in counseling online. And it's a blessing for those that join and support her group, or individual, family. It's just a blessing that we have grown to be able to take the calmness of what she has, and it takes us to another level. So all of us are at another level. I'm grown and sexy. She gonna be like, okay, woosah. And then when you get to town, you're gonna be like, I can't take pictures of this. So that's how it's gonna go.
Ashe. Well, ladies, it has been a pleasure and a joy to have the two of you on. It has been wonderful to it's always wonderful to sit back and reflect on that blossoming arts movement of the 90s and 2000s. It always brings back wonderful memories. We were young, ambitious, and we was gonna get it done.
Yes, so we did that.
So I thank the two of you for being with us on the Buffalo History Channel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
All right.
We represented the Low City. Met once a month with the Ghost Town Committee. There's nothing pretty on the real side of the east side, our side. We take pride in our place among thorns and wild roots that try to take our nutrients and throw salt on our boots. But when times are hard, we trudge through the snow as if we were native Eskimo and paved tracks through roads that have never been paved. I praise the Lord every day when I rise. I praise Him and give Him His due. You see, no matter the trial, we will see it through. From the pyramids to the projects with love and respect, walking hand in hand across Afro-Asian lands where it all began with the word. And now there's wordism spreading realism on the surface of a white canvas in the center of the city, creating life and loving every stroke of each day-night hour that tick-tocks away. Play that song, Daddy. Play that song. It's like cooking in my grandmother's kitchen. A splash of faith goes into the pot, and a dash of will goes into the pan. And then you stir in the goodness and partake of the nourishment each day. Walking through the darkness of a midnight sky, each star is such a shining light on our future that laughs and plays and joins God's day, where it breathes and braids, afros and locks, beating our drums, loving ourselves. Play that song, Daddy. Play that song. Afrocentricity in a new century, what's on your agenda? Niagara Mohawk shut off your electricity? Poor excuse for not seeking the truth. Mount Zion waits on